All right, listeners, before we jump into today's podcast, I just want to let you guys know that the Hometown Haunts and Hops Festival is back this year. After a huge success last year at Mayflower Brewery, we are going to be doing our second annual Hometown Haunts and Hops event on September 21st at Mayflower Brewery. The doors will be opening at 1. It'll run till about 7. Our lead guest will be John Kaser, the Crypt Keeper himself. It has been 35 years of Tales from the Crypt, and we're going to celebrate this year with him joining us for autographs and a panel. And beyond that, we're going to have a bunch of other live podcasts. We're going to have a retro video game area. We are going to have Tim Curry's screen-worn Pennywise costume from the original It series. We are going to have haunt-related vehicles such as Ecto-1, Raccoon City Police Cruiser, and even a 1984 Cadillac hearse on site for photo ops. We are going to have exclusive hot sauce, an exclusive action figure, beer releases, vendors. It is going to be a full day of fun at Mayflower Brewery. Tickets start at $25 for that day, but we're also going to be doing some movie showings the Friday night before. We're going to be showing WNUF Halloween Special at Dirty Water Distillery that Friday night, and over at Sour Not Sorry in downtown Plymouth, we're going to be showing Pennywise, the story of It, an award-winning documentary of the making of the original It TV show. So you can find all this information on our website, Inebri-Art.com, and you can get your tickets there as well. It'll be a fun day. We had a great time last year. There's going to be food trucks and music, and it's just going to be a whole day to hang out and enjoy everything spooky. So we'll see you there. All right, welcome back, Inebri-Arts. We are back again at the Mayflower Brewing Company, right here in Plymouth, since our regular recording spot is still under construction. And so we have an event that, when this goes up, it would have just passed, the Spooks and Spirits. We are bringing in a bunch of October horror-themed writers to the Dirty Water Distillery. And a while back, I was reached out to on the Facebook by Julie Hutchings with a G.
Nice.
That's 2 in a row. And you're a horror author, so we brought you in for the event. And sorry, Jimmy Sticks is just making a little brief appearance. So, Julie.
Yes.
How did you get involved in writing? Has it always been a lifelong thing?
It's always been there. Yeah, it's been there since I was a little kid. I was very quiet and like you, not very personable as a child.
Like Fish, not like me.
yeah. Like
I mean, I wasn't personable either. But,
yeah. I should be more clear. Yeah, so I always kind of wrote. I always did. All the other things I did in between. It was the thing I always came back to. And so, when college came around, the English major, that's always got the most promising end in sight. Being an English major, it's right there with communication. So I figured I was going.
You could have done. What's the other one? Shit, I can't remember. Like a general liberal arts.
Liberal arts, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to take enough art classes. I think I did take liberal arts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and you gravitated towards horror?
Yeah, I grew up on horror. I always loved horror. So, from when I was a little kid, and when I wasn't supposed to be reading it, and my dad and I would always go to the bookstore, and that was the first thing I'd go for, and the library, first thing I'd go for, and the movies, and it was, I never really liked the things that other little girls did.
Yeah,
My favorite book was the novelization of Rambo for a while, so it wasn't
interesting.
Yeah. I was never really a mainstream kid, but back then it was just weird.
Right.
It wasn't good.
Well, now
to be that person.
It's much more accepted.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, that's because of me. I did
you
that.
Personally.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of my kids, thank you, because my kids are definitely a little on the weird side. And I mean that coming from growing up on the weird side.
It's wonderful.
So, when did you start putting out books?
Right after I had my first child, I started putting out books. That was, 11 years ago?
We don't know that. You have
Yeah.
to tell us that.
Yeah, well, that was 11 years ago. It's like, that was 11 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, about 11 years ago, I was on maternity leave, and
So that's
that's
kinda like
when
your-
it clicked
yeah.
in. Yeah, that's just when it happened. So, I always wrote, but it wasn't then, I think, that I didn't have the emotional depth, really, to write a good character, write
Yeah.
a strong plot with themes and enough complexities that would matter to every reader.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, I always wanted something that would read well on the surface, but then something that would be a go back and pick her upper. You know, and
Right.
I needed that depth, and so
When you wrote in high school and such, were you like, "Oh, this is so good"? Have you ever gone back?
never. No, never.
I was just wondering if you went back and were like, "God, this is horse crap."
Oh no, it was always garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back then, kids didn't write books. You didn't try to write a book in high school when I went to high school.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't a thing. You know, so it was very misdirected.
So you just kind of wrote to write.
Yeah, I just kind of wrote to write, and I never really had any direction with it. You know, I'd do short stories and stuff and things like that, but I never had a mission in mind. You know, and like I said, that didn't come until 11 years ago
Yeah.
when I was like, that's the book.
And so you are doing or have done a series?
Yeah, I've still got the third book to put out in that.
Okay.
But yeah, the Shinigami vampires. So I really,
Are
really...
these real vampires or do they sparkle?
They don't sparkle.
Oh, that's
No.
all right.
No, but it's... Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because that's the book that prompted me to write these books. You know, I was on maternity leave, and I was oblivious to the world. I was totally... I couldn't remember my own name.
Yeah.
And we were just walking around
Which
Walmart.
is a thing no one told me
Oh, my
when
God.
my ex-wife got pregnant, that
No.
your memory went.
Yeah, no, you don't remember
Because
things. I
hers
didn't
was
remember
not
waking
good to
up.
begin with. It was bad.
And then, yeah, it's like little holes go in the brain.
Yeah.
They take something out, and then everything else goes too. But, yeah, I was just walking around Walmart, and I needed something to read, and I grabbed the closest thing, and it was Twilight. And that was the time that everybody was reading it. I'm like, good Lord. Of course, because I can't ever do the thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, fine, I'll read it. And I fell right into it. And then I read all the rest of them. Like, why do I care? It's like, it's not a great book. They're not great stories.
So
but,
what was it that,
well, you know,
that drew you in?
it was that extraordinary inserted into the ordinary. Boring girl, boring town, you know, nothing going on. And then just this element thrown in there that you would never have expected, that was underlying the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many mistakes with that book, of course, but that book is what brought young adult into the world. Young adult books that are read by adults and children alike now. That's the book that prompted that.
You think so?
I do.
I feel like it was more Harry Potter.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to...
But Harry
Well,
Potter's
agree to
middle
disagree.
grade, if we want to do that.
Yeah.
Harry Potter's middle grade,
Yeah.
you know, and I really feel like Twilight, like I had jury duty.
Yeah.
Not long after that, there was an old lady reading Twilight, you know, and it was like, geez, there's something there. So, I wanted that feeling. I wanted that extraordinary under the surface.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to make sense. I wanted it to be an adult that had a direction, you know, a character that mattered in life, a character that wanted something and not just a vampire, you know.
So give us the elevator pitch, the synopsis of what your book's
God,
about.
I hate an elevator pitch. I'm not good at it. I do not write long-winded, by the way.
Okay.
But I'm long-winded with an elevator pitch, so irony.
I'm not really in an elevator, so...
Good. It's this girl, Ellie Morgan, lives in a small town, and has always been out of place. Not because she didn't fit in, but because she didn't want to be. And she's older, actually. She's 26, and, you know, so she's a grown-up and should have made all her decisions in life at this point, pretty much. And she has no direction, but she always felt a little better than everybody else, you know. And I think that's a part of growing into adulthood that nobody tells you about. You don't always feel like you're flip-flopping. You feel like, Jesus Christ, I should have done that because I'm better at it than these people, you know. And so she never really knew quite what she was growing into, but she knew there was something there, you know, and that's when the vampires show up. And so I said, you know, it can't just be vampires. We can't have just vampires. I need this to be a book that only I could have written.
Yeah.
And I loved Japanese folklore, and I have a strong background in martial arts, and I was like, God, that's my in. So I kind of dug around into Japanese creation myths and Japanese vampire myths and merged the two.
Okay.
And so it makes it quite a bit different. I use a lot of classical mythology in it and a lot of my own. There's no sparkling. It's not pretty.
Okay.
It's not pretty. They kill people. It's okay. But it's really about her and what she makes herself become, no matter what fate tells her she's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, making your own choices, even though your life seems to be on a different path.
I always find it interesting when someone picks up or writes any vampire anything.
Oh, yeah.
How there are the standard rules, but some will pick and choose which ones they want to use. Like, are your vampires is garlic a thing? Can they see the reflection?
I love that stuff. I mean, and that's why they're iconic. The vampire isn't a trend. It's always been there, and it keeps re-emerging into popularity, and it's
But do you do all
stuff.
those like classic things, like are they afraid of crucifixes and
I didn't do that.
I be invited into the house and all those classic
No, I mean,
tropes.
I joke around about that in there, and I don't goof off in the book. It's not a goof off kind of book, but it's there's jokes in it, and it's adulty. But I do entertain a few of those, like not being able to see yourself in a mirror, and I've got a whole backstory for that, and that one's my favorite, that you can't see yourself in a mirror. I'm not going to tell because I have to write a short story about it. So
yeah. So, like, what did you draw influence-wise from movies or books about vampires? Like, what was your what did you draw from?
You wouldn't believe it. So Twilight's the only book really that fed into this. I mean, I was a huge fan of Anne Rice. Mm-hmm. I find her books don't stand the test of time now. Dracula. I fell in love with Dracula when I was a kid. Everything Dracula. Frankenstein. I love the monster that looks good on the outside but is terrible underneath, like Dracula. And I love the one that's ugly and is wonderful underneath, like Frankenstein. It's always been, something cool that I've always wanted to play around with. But as far as what really influenced it, it makes no sense, but The Departed. Do you remember that movie, The Departed?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie. It's like, that character's got something. And so I really pulled from that. And Jesus, maternity leave was that bad that I don't remember which Avengers movie it was, but it was early. Yeah. And Tony Stark. Like, Tony Stark is my favorite Marvel character. Yeah. My favorite Avenger. I'll say favorite Avenger. And I really wanted Tony Stark-like character. Somebody who wasn't nice. Somebody who was egotistical, who, wasn't afraid to not pull punches. And that's what I really wanted. And those were the two characters that really defined it for me. And as far as the main character, Eliza Morgan, she really came from me.
Yeah.
So, and I think
I feel like a lot of writers, especially in the early books, tend to write a character about kind of about themselves.
Yeah. What else do you know?
Right.
It's what you have to. And I think that first book for a lot of people is the stuff that you always wanted to get out, but didn't know how.
It's it's the thing the best, and it's also you don't have that. Well, I can't do that again. You're fresh. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So you kind of gravitate towards that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if the main character you kind of focus kind of based on yourself, your other characters, I mean, you mentioned Tony Stark and Leonardo DiCaprio, but are there other friends and family or even people you don't like that you've kind of used in the stories?
You know what? There's one girl who used to work for me. Mm-hmm. Her name is Jen Wesson. Jen Smith now.
Oh, I hope she's not like going to totally
No, she asked me.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I want to be in your book. I need to be an asshole. So I made that happen.
That's totally different.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
you
like,
couldn't ask
this
for
is going to
something.
go south.
No.
She'd be like, that bitch,
her.
She got me fired. I'm like,
No, because honestly, I don't have a whole lot of time for that. If I don't like you, you're gonna know it. Yeah. I don't need to passively aggressively get it to you in a book.
Write about you.
Writing's for me, not for you.
Yeah. That was Jen. This character's name is Jennifer. Totally different.
Oh yeah, totally different. No, it's right in there. Yeah. And I ran a contest and said you'll be my next book if you do something or another, and I forget what that was.
So how many books do you have out now?
What, 4?
4.
Yeah, so I have Running Home and Running Away, which is that vampire trilogy, and then I have the first in a series.
Why
of young
is it
adult.
trilogies? I
don't
ask
know.
everybody this. I'm like, why is it trilogies?
I don't know. I think I never intended on. I wrote this entire book by hand on maternity leave. I didn't own a laptop.
Yeah.
I wrote the whole book by hand. So when I started typing it in finally, I was like, I guess I better get a laptop and do something with this. I realized it was really a book and a half.
Yeah. And
so I had to write that second book. And you just kind of don't finish with 2 books, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know how to finish with 2 books. Maybe that's just me.
It could be.
Yeah, because the third one's hard.
It just seems like everyone does trilogies.
Yeah, and you hear the word duology, and you're like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah. I've never heard that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and I guess for an indie author, it's easier to sell a box set.
True.
If you've got more
3,
than one.
Yeah. So is this? Do you self-publish?
I do now.
Okay.
I do now. Yes.
I take it you didn't in the beginning.
I didn't in the beginning. I was really determined to get picked up, and I thought that this vampire novel was different enough, but that was in a time when they see the word vampire and you're thrown in the trash pile immediately. There's no junk pile, it's trash.
Yeah.
And I worked hard at it, boy. I worked hard at it. But I'd written like a flash fiction, little short horror story for Books of the Dead Press. They did a little thing, and he said, "Geez, don't you have a full length novel you're trying to get rid of?" and I said, "Yes."
To get rid of?
Yeah, no, he didn't say it that way.
Yeah.
But he took me in with open arms. I was the only woman that had been published. There was 7 of us that all got published at the same time.
Yep.
And I was the only woman that had been published with them. And
do you think that
did really
helps you or hinders you?
Oh, that helps me out.
Yeah.
Horror, I don't find is a boys' club whatsoever.
No,
not at all. And I don't know if that's just me, but I find they're much more welcoming than the young adult crowd, which I've varied into. And they're much more welcoming than the vampire paranormal romance crowd, which I can't even classify my book as because it doesn't fit their standards.
Vampire paranormal romance.
Yeah.
So that would be Twilight, I assume.
Which is actually technically young adult, but there's an entire world built around pretty much Twilight for adults now. And yeah. But if they don't have happy endings, you're fucked. If you put that book out, it's got to have a happy ending.
Oh.
Yeah, like the boy always gets the girl in the end, or your reviewers are going to murder you. So I did something right because Running Home has great reviews, a lot of great reviews. So
do you get a lot of feedback online? Because, it's really different than trying to start a writing career, say, 20 years ago, like prior to the, internet and Amazon and
oh my
and
God,
small
where you
press
hold
printing
yourself
things.
off in a cabin in the woods and wrote for a year.
And just hope someone finds you. Now it's so much easier to get out there. Like, do you have fans? Like, do you get are people knocking on your door being like, when's the 3rd book coming out?
I do. It's as strange to me as it probably sounds coming from you. I do, but I get fan mail.
It's such a weird thing. I actually, I'm sure I've told the story before, but I was at the Thanksgiving Day parade, and I was with my kids, and someone stops me, and they're like, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say I'm a really big fan. And I'm like, what?
Who are you?
And he's
who
like,
am I?
I'm following you online and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh. And he walks off, and I turn to my kids. I'm like, you saw that, right? That happened.
Remember this moment, kids.
It's just such a weird experience.
It is strange, but to be honest, that's always kind of what I was going for. I never thought I was going to be a huge author. I'm too will screw everybody and I'll do what I want, for me to be huge. And I've found that out through traditional publishing. And, that I'm too cerebral was an actual word I got that my agent had taken in from editors. That's like, so I should dumb down then for my readers. No. So, I always want kind of a cult following. I want people who read anything I write that I don't have to just write horror. Now I've written, vampires. I've written young adult. I've written, it's so many different blogs and stories for different blogs, and I've got a lot out there, you know, and a lot more planned. So
when you write these blogs, do you do that to kind of promote yourself? Kind of be like, this is, I'm going to guest write this blog.
Absolutely.
And kind of put at the end, and I also write blah, 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 blah.
It turned out that way. In the beginning, it was really just to get myself on the map. Mm-hmm. It's like, you got to have a blog, you got to do something interesting. And content. Yeah. But what really worked was I reached out a lot to other writers.
Yep.
So I would love you to do a story for my blog. And then we'd do like short story, like a whole short story month, March Madness, and do a bunch of insanity themed stories. I have a new author every day, and so
I thought March Madness was basketball.
Yeah, it could be, but it doesn't really matter in this context.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I guess paying it forward and putting a lot of people on my blog and I've gotten a lot of support through that. And and that was 10 years ago. And some of those people I still talk with and, and we still promote each other.
I feel like it's one of those when you stop kind of trying to just sell and kind of just like create, like that's when we really took off here is we stopped trying to look at what's going to make us $1 to what can we do to help the community? And now, like, we get people that call us up and be like, hey, can you do this for us? And we're like, I guess so, sure, yeah, we'll do that.
They don't connect with a sales pitch. They connect with a person, and the person's the one who makes the sales pitch. So, it works back and forth, but I rarely, I feel like, talk about my books on Twitter. I rarely feel like I talk about my books on Facebook. I very rarely go into their content at all. But I've got a good following and, a lot of great supporters that,
well, we had
surprisingly.
We had 40,000 people show up last weekend at the Spooks and Spirits event. So, I mean, they were clearly there to buy books.
Not Spooks and Spirits. Oh, okay.
No, this goes up after Spooks and Spirits.
Right.
So there's 40,000 people at the event.
Visualization.
So how did you find out about our event?
How did I find out about it? Dan Kern?
Oh, right. You know Dan Kern.
Yeah. And
the
the weirdest thing is Dan Kern is the brother of his cousin's
She's pointing at her husband.
Oh, yeah, that's my husband. Over there. We don't let him talk. He just... Yeah.
We didn't put him on. So Dan Kern is your husband's
oddly related
brother.
to us.
Wait, try...
Yeah, you want to try that again?
Okay, so it's
my husband's
cousin's
his ex's, who's an old friend of mine. Brother.
Okay, is Dan Kern.
And I connected with him at Newbury Comics because he was selling art on Free Comic Book Day. And, And it was like, oh my God, I fell in love with his work.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
He's so good, I hate him.
Yeah. He's that kind of good. And
they'd be like, oh, I sculpted something today. I'd be like, you don't sculpt, and fuck you, that's awesome.
Right. I know. I'm like, he's like, yeah, I drew this up real quick. Like, no, you fucking didn't.
Yeah.
He's been working on that for a year.
He's he was like episode 4, I think, of our podcast, and then we had him on not too long ago.
He's just a great guy.
He's the nicest guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But I fell in love with his work, and I really want to make this book that's coming out that will be available at Spooks and Spirits for the first time.
Ooh.
The Harpy. I really want to make this into a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Because I realized how much...
hey, he draws.
I know. Can you believe that?
That's what a...
Yeah, so I really want to commission him for that, and he's never done it before. I've never done it before. I have a friend who's done it before, but I'll be picking his brain forever. Joe Hart, buy all his books. But, yeah, I really want him to be the artist for either the comic or the graphic novel. It's got to be done, because I drew too much... Without even realizing, I drew too much inspiration from comics with that book.
Have you seen his 2 books?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Tesserae?
Tesserae and Tesserae 2, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bought them. Of course I bought them.
I have them in my car.
Yeah, I know. They're right here.
Yeah. For our listeners, go check out Dan Kern. He's just one of those people that you just can't not like him.
No,
he's
super
amazingly
likable,
talented. He's so nice.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, ugh, can you stop being so perfect, you prick?
Just be an asshole.
I know, right? Just for a minute. Give me one reason to dislike you.
I think I'm probably enough of an asshole for both of us.
Yeah.
Like, I'll outweigh him.
But no, that'd be anything he does. I'm excited about.
Yeah, see, my fans and his fans.
Hopefully he'll stop by, or he did stop by at Spooks and Spirits. It was great to see him at Spooks and Spirits.
It was great to see him.
Yeah.
I gotta get used to this. I gotta start sending faxes from my future
We're like
self.
time traveling. Yeah, it's like the Bill and Ted thing where you're like, remember Trash Barrel, remember Trash Barrel.
It's Dwight sending faxes from his future self. You gotta do that.
No, you're an office person.
Office. Yeah, okay.
I'm the only person in my office that isn't an office person.
Oh, come on.
Like it's not that I don't like it. Like it's fine.
It's fine.
Funny.
I get it.
But whatever.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Wasn't my thing. You did mention being a bit of a nerd, and you've mentioned Free Comic Book Day.
I don't know that I ever said I was a nerd.
I feel like you said nerd. Pretty sure you said nerd.
My body language says nerd.
You're wearing an asteroid shirt. You brought up Free Comic Book Day.
I am, aren't I? Yeah. Yeah, I'm a nerd.
So, do you go to a lot of cons? Like, what's your influence?
I don't go to a lot of cons because that's people. That's so many people.
They do have people at them. Yeah.
So many people, and although I do have to, it's an end game thing. I have to get there because I'm dying to write a book for DC.
Mm-hmm.
DC, who is not, between you and I'm not a DC girl. I'm a Marvel girl.
Yeah.
But I am dying.
Why do you want to write for DC then?
Because I want to write a gender-swapped Scarecrow. This is my dream.
Okay.
It's my dream. Female Scarecrow. Harley Quinn, a female Scarecrow versus Batman. Who wouldn't read that? Come on.
I feel like I'd be less likely to read it if you put Harley Quinn in it.
Yeah, well, I probably honestly Harley Quinn's my least favorite.
Harley Quinn and Daredevil to me right now are just. I don't dislike either one. It's just like enough. There's other characters.
That's how I am about most of DC.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, but
and Superman is the worst.
God, Superman's the worst. I hate Superman.
Anyone who likes Superman
is over. And, I'm sorry, Daredevil?
What?
Oh, come on.
I didn't say Daredevil. I said
He
Superman's
did say
the.
He said Superman's the worst. But Daredevil is like meh. And Harley Quinn for me, and a lot of people are going to hate that. It's pretty meh. Also,
oh, did I say Daredevil?
You said Daredevil.
Oh, I meant Deadpool. I totally meant Deadpool.
What?
I didn't even notice I said
DC.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, I didn't even notice I said it.
No.
So no,
like,
Deadpool.
Wait a second. Why does Andy hate Daredevil?
Really weird.
Isn't even DC.
I don't hate him. He's blind. You have to.
This makes I'm officially
It'd be like a hate
bigger
crime.
nerd than you now.
No, trust me. I know.
I don't know.
It was more of just beer and bad brain cells. It wasn't like an intentional thing. It's excellent beer.
Don't blame the beer in the brewery.
But yeah, I'm a comic geek if that's what you're trying.
I
if you're
owned
trying
a
to
comic
dig
book
yourself
shop.
out.
So
yeah, that's how we met.
Which one?
Barrett's Collectibles. It was in East Bridgewater.
Oh Jesus! That was probably when I was going to school there.
Maybe when were you going to school there?
After '93, what was that? '94.
It would have been after '93. Wouldn't have been '94. Let's see. Zoe was just born. It was
like '94 to '98.
About 14 years ago.
Yeah, whatever that math is, I was in school from '94 to '98.
So 2004-ish, early 2000s.
No, I wasn't there. So yeah, I ran from Bridgewater at that point. So sorry that I didn't.
You don't have to apologize.
Yeah, I didn't frequent your comic shop.
That's fine. I mean, we closed because of you. But.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm back.
I'm not in business anymore. I totally lost track of what
we were just talking about being geeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't like to attend cons. Have you ever thought about setting up at a con to promote your book?
I have.
Oh, you have done that?
No, I have thought about it.
Okay, all right.
I've thought about it. Yeah, and I really, really should.
Yeah.
I really ought to. And I know enough people that do cons that I wouldn't be like, showing up.
The nice thing about it is it gives you an immediate departure from being like you're not just in the herd of people, because you have a table to sit behind, and you have a little bit of distance from the people.
Oh no!
And
see,
you don't
I'm weird though.
You don't have to hump stuff around because you can just store it under your table.
Yeah. No, see, I'm weird like that. A, I don't mind manual labor. B, I will complain that I don't ever want to get out of my sweatpants, and I'll stay home forever if you let me. But when I get with people, I will not sit behind the table.
It's not that I don't like to get with people. I don't like to stand in line with my favorite 30,000 friends. No. It's just, it can be overwhelming. It can be
jolting.
It can be not fun because all you're doing is just kind of like moving in the sea of people. Where you have a table, you can be like, "No, I'm going to go walk around for a bit. No, I'm going to go sit behind the table."
We just went to Fan Expo in Boston.
Yeah. We got press passes to that like super late, and I just never because Fish ended up having to work because we got him so late that he couldn't request a day off. I don't work weekends, so. What did you think of Fan Expo?
There was a lot of jolting around, jostling around, which I probably would have been okay with, but the entire family was there,
Yep.
And that was a little tough on the youngest.
Because this was the first or second one?
I think this was the second one.
Yeah.
Under Fan Expo. And I feel like a lot of people didn't know that it actually pretty much is Comic-Con. But yeah, there was a lot happening there. It was great.
It used to be locally run, and now it's run by a national company.
Yeah. I loved it when it was locally run too.
Yeah.
I guess I do go to cons.
I know. For someone's like, I don't go to cons. She's like, well, it didn't compare to last year.
That one and this one.
And,
yeah. My son, my 8-year-old, dressed up as 11.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, it was the best.
Nice.
It's the best. There's pictures all over Facebook of it because it was the happiest moment of my life.
And isn't the new season starting soon?
Who the hell knows?
I thought it was supposed to be on
There might
October.
never be another
It's
season.
October.
We're all just going to wait forever.
But I'd be okay with that.
Why?
Because the story's been resolved.
So
I'm fine with that. Like, I would
No.
rather leave a story going, that was great, I wish there was more, opposed to going, it was great up till season 3, and then got real shitty.
See, right now it's a duology. Then
and I'm
it
fine
will
with
become
that.
a trilogy.
And I'm fine with that. I wasn't even sure I wanted a second season.
Oh, come on.
The first season was great.
It was great, which is why I want a second season, but they should quit while they're ahead, like Gotham.
That I
went
never got into.
way too many. For some reason, I loved Gotham. I don't know what it was, but I really, really loved Gotham, and I feel like they've gone too far. Maybe
Yeah.
gone a little too far.
I never got into that. I know October was big.
American Horror Story.
You never got into that.
Oh my God! Who are you even?
Man in the High Castle. I'm super excited about, but I haven't started watching the new season.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Man in the High Castle?
No, I don't.
Oh, Philip K. Dick. Same guy that did Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
And it is
not the new Blade Runner.
No, like he's the author of the books.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's on Amazon Prime, and it gets a lot of press when they advertise a new season.
Yeah.
Because people lose their fucking minds because it is a kind of what if the U.S. lost World War II.
Oh.
So 2/3 of the country is run by the Nazis, and 1/3 of the country is run by the Japanese. And so when they advertise it, there's always a picture of like the Statue of Liberty like draped in the swastika, and people like lose their mind because they're like, "What are they doing?" And it's like, it's part of
this is something I need to watch.
It's really, really good.
I hate when people say you got to watch the show. And
you should really watch it.
I probably never will, but that one I will.
Because you start watching it, and you're like, "Oh, it's kind of like a what if," and then it gets to like 3 or 4 episodes in, and then you're like, "Oh shit, there's sci-fi in it too."
See, that's what I love.
Fantastic,
like dystopian and a little sci-fi, and some horror thrown in there.
Well, there's a lot of like, I don't understand what's going on, but something fucking weird is going on.
I want like 1984 Mad Max to have a baby. That's
this has.
Can you do that for me? Can you make that happen?
I'll get those two things together and put on some Barry White and get a nice bottle of wine. It is more. I could see some 1984 influence on it. Mad Max, not at all.
Come on.
I'm just
somebody
telling you,
has to write that book, is what I'm telling you.
All
so
right. Well,
get on it.
You're the writer.
Yeah.
I can barely spell.
I have a dystopian plan.
I can barely spell.
Or remember names. Maybe if you could remember names better, you'd learn to spell better.
I feel like that's probably the same.
They're related.
Yeah, like the same. I keep saying I have an undiagnosed learning disability. Because I grew up in the 70s, and you didn't have a learning disability. You were just stupid.
You were just dumb.
Yeah. So you have other books in mind. Like, what's your next project?
Oh, I'm super excited for this one. It's called Inscription. And
Is this about like going into dreams and into dreams?
No. No. I
feel like I saw that movie.
My husband over there is super, super excited for this book. And he's happy I'm a writer, but he's excited for this book.
Yeah.
I wrote actually 4 flash fiction pieces on my blog.
So,
and
for our listeners who might not know, not for me, for those people.
Yeah,
what is it? Flash fiction.
Flash fiction, 1,000 words or less.
Okay.
Complete story in 1,000 words or less.
Thank you for explaining to our listeners.
Sorry,
not me. I totally knew.
It's super. Yeah, of course you did. Just like
course.
I knew that this was not live today.
Yeah.
Just same thing.
I didn't bring that up. You told me not to bring it up.
I did. That's what I do. That's what I do.
I mean, we're live.
Ever say
you're not dead.
Yeah.
So it's live.
Whew.
All right.
Phew. You know, but no, that's what I do.
Well,
though. I'll tell
Is she
people
a zombie?
not to say it, and then I say it.
But
yeah, then I'll say it publicly.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Right.
We aren't going out for like a week and a half, so.
But
She
This
might
is from
not
the
make it.
future.
Oh, that's
So I'm
true.
saying.
This is from the future.
Yeah, well, from
Did
the
you
past.
just threaten my life?
No, I'm just.
I feel like you might
Things
have.
happen.
You're on.
Think-
This is why
What
you don't
things?
talk. This is why we
Ish.
don't allow you to
What
talk.
Things happen. No things happen.
This is why he doesn't talk.
Yeah. So
Put your mic on mute.
I'm novelizing Inscription, which is the story of a 15-year-old kid who's got this complex that he needs to write the next great American novel. It becomes his entire existence, to the point where he feels as though he can only get close enough to his characters if he actually sews the book pages into his skin. So it is a pretty scary.
So it's
a pretty scary premise.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said, there's 4 of them on my blog. You can read all 4 of them because I wrote one that was like, God, there's just a little more there that I want to do. Each one's their own story.
Yeah.
But I really want to make it into a novel. The whole thing's just there. So I am doing that now, much to the chagrin of everybody who wants that 3rd book in the vampire series. This book's coming first.
Yeah.
So I start that
well,
right away.
I think you're still ahead of Fish. Take your mic off mute. What's the dude's name?
What dude?
Song of Ice and Fire.
George R. R. Martin?
You're ahead of that guy, so I don't think you have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So
I haven't read him or watched. So
it's really good.
This is what I hear.
But see,
It's okay.
I really like it, but the problem is
All the rape and baby hitting. This is the only 2 things I saw when I turned it on one
There's
day.
baby hitting? I don't remember there being baby hitting.
Somebody was holding a baby by the feet and smacked him, but not like in the way like, oh, wake up, baby.
I don't recall that. It's pretty rapey, but I
Yeah,
don't
it's
remember the
pretty
baby
rapey.
hitting. Yeah,
And I'm not cool with pretty rapey.
No.
Like I was a Jason Momoa fan until that panel, which he then later apologized for, where he's like, they're like, what's your favorite part of being on Game of Thrones? Oh, it's raping all the beautiful women. An entire conference.
Oh,
An entire
that's not a
conference
smart thing to say.
No. Or,
Yeah.
Don't say it, don't think it,
Yeah.
don't feel it.
But that's
Yeah. So after
I
that, it
was
was like,
not aware of
no.
that.
Yeah.
but it's a very good story. It's just there's so many characters that I feel like you constantly have to rewatch it to be like, wait, who is this guy again?
Yeah. Any book that long-winded, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just I can't even with that.
Well, what do you enjoy reading?
What do I enjoy reading? God, I read so much. Okay, here's a classic example. Jeremy C. Shipp just put out a book called The Atrocities.
Okay.
And this was, a complete novel. Totally engrossed me in this book. When it showed up, I almost pissed myself because it's maybe 150 pages. It is this thin little thing. And I'm like, well, you've got to be friggin' kidding me. Great reviews. Like, all my friends are talking about this. I'm like, I'll read it. And that one little book had everything in it I was looking for. All the gothic horror, the relatable characters, the complexity, the contradictions. It was all in there. I like reading something that's got a lot of... It's pointed, that's not fluff and, masturbatory descriptions, where the writer just doesn't know where to stop talking. Like that's not what I'm into. I like a book that's to the point, like Chuck Wendig. He's to the point. None of the other Star Wars books. Everybody's going to hate me for that. I'm not a Star Wars book person.
I don't think oh wait, that's not true. I don't think I've ever read a Star Wars book, but I have. I've read one of the 1970s Han Solo stories, but that was ages ago.
They're okay, yeah. But,
I don't approve of Star Wars books.
They're not my favorite.
To me, Star Wars is movies.
Yes.
And
so many toys.
And nothing pisses me off more than when it was Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like, why does this guy have asthma? And they're like, well, if you watch such and such, I'm like, why do I have to do homework to see a movie?
No.
Why is C-3PO gold? And they're like, well, in this cartoon. And you're like, no. I paid my $12 to be here. If you're a good storyteller, everything's there.
either everything's there or everything leads you somewhere you say, I would like to learn more about that. Not that it annoys you. I want to know more about why C-3PO is this color.
Right, but it would lead into it, not just all of a sudden him showing up and being gold.
Yeah, no.
And no one going, why are you gold?
Yeah, I like resolutions. I like a book that has a beginning, middle, and end, and I want a theme that has the same thing, beginning, middle, and end. I want it to sound great, and I want it to be very, very clearly written, but I want it to be beautifully written, too. I'm a jerk.
See, I like things to have an end, too, and that's what concerns me about things like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Season 1 had an end.
Yeah.
It didn't have to go on. It
didn't, but
they did fine, and I'm not shooting them down because I really like the second season. But I feel like when you get a movie that's, or a show or a book or whatever that's really good, say, I don't know, The Matrix, and then like we're going to do 2 more of these, and you're like, how? It's over.
But you
it's
can.
Done.
That's my favorite.
No, you can't. Have you seen the sequels to that?
I love them all.
They're horrible.
Fight me. I love them all.
Horrible.
No, they're not.
They're so terrible.
It's Kung Fu and Keanu Reeves and all a bunch of cool people dressed in black with sunglasses, and
it is all
awesome
those
fight
things,
scenes.
but they're not good. They're so not good.
We will agree to disagree.
We can agree that you're wrong.
Oh,
I love the first one.
I love a story that is complete in itself. Like my first book, Running Home. Complete in itself, but it can be continued. It doesn't. I don't want a cliffhanger where you just say, "Well, what the fuck just happened?"
But there was no cliffhanger.
No,
it was done.
I don't want a cliffhanger. But you can finish it, and that's what you can go on.
They didn't. They fucked it up.
Well, I didn't.
Okay.
And
I'm not talking about your book. I think your books are. This was directly at the Wysharsky siblings. No, I didn't get that pronunciation right.
Sharsky.
Wachowski?
Wachowski.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
I say that like I know them.
Yeah.
Like, Andy.
I love V for Vendetta. I think their stuff is good. Did I get him? I got him. I'm sorry. For our listeners, we've been hunting this fruit fly down, and I just got him. So.
Place is not filled.
Done. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done for the day. Done. So where can our listeners go to read your blog, find your books, and all that stuff?
Oh, that
because they all
easy to find.
They all miss Spooks and Spirits, so
they all missed it.
Maybe not all. I mean, there were 40,000 people there. I'm sure some of them listened to this. So.
And of course, they were all crowded around my table. This is my great fear in life: is that I'll either be crowded around and I'll run out immediately, or that I will order 10 books and they'll come home with me, and I'll just be.
It's the first time we've ever done it. I cannot make any promises. We ran a pop-up event as part of Winterfest. Now, granted, we were kind of attached to something else. The town's like, "Hey, can you run a pop-up art show?" And we're like, "Sure, where?" And they gave us a abandoned storefront on Main Street. And we had 178 pieces of art, 18 creators, vendors, and 2 live musicians.
Oh, wow.
And we were talking about the other day, conservatively, there were 1,000 people through the door.
Oh, man.
But it was all part of Winterfest. So it's not like we brought 1,000 people. I'm not that crazy.
We start somewhere and we learn and grow. Right?
But we've been running art shows at the Dirty Water Distillery, which is where Spooks and Spirits was. I
like how you're getting that every time.
We, I don't know, I think the last one, maybe 200 people were through the door? Ballpark?
Okay.
Between us bringing in people and people showing up for booze and being like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's a little cross-pollinated.
Well, I mean, it's successful if you get to talk to people and you're not there to sell books. You're
there
to sell
there's going to be some very cool authors there.
Yeah.
You're the last one that
Samson,
we haven't.
That guy Samson.
Steve, he's been on the podcast.
Psyched.
Brian Hall has been on the podcast, and Darcy Lee has all been on the podcast as well. Darcy has a really good following. She just brings people with her wherever she goes. Brian's working on a Netflix pilot.
Man.
Steve's just a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Really interesting to talk to. At the very least, it'll be fun and there'll be booze.
It'll be fun. There'll be booze. I mean, and it's...
you can't go wrong.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of living the dream, one way or the other. So it's fine. But... I
mean, you can't go wrong. There were 40,000 people there. I don't know. Oh, where can they go to find your blog?
Oh, yeah. My blog, juliehutchings.net. Or look up Pretty Scary Author. Super easy to find. Julie Hutchings. I'm the first one to pop up. I've got a whole
Are
page
you
of stuff.
on-
And I'm on Amazon.
I was
So
going to say, are you on the Amazon?
Julie Hutchings. Find me on Amazon,
Nice.
and everything is there.
And when is the third book coming out? What, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. You're not talking about the third book in that trilogy that I've written yet, are you?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah, of course, 3 weeks.
I mean, this
Serious?
isn't going to go up for 2 weeks. You got
No.
plenty of time.
No.
So if we say
No,
3
the
weeks
Harpy
from
is
now, that
coming
gives you
out
like
right
a month
now.
and a half.
No. The Harpy. This is the book that I've been dying
Well,
to
what
get
is the
out.
Harpy about?
The Harpy is picture the Crow, but a really mean girl, and or picture Batman, but nastier. Picture she's like a monster girl with wings. She is a
Harpy?
harpy. She is, and it's if you don't know what a harpy is, they're these mythical beasts. That
They're half woman, half bird.
half woman, half bird. They
Yeah.
were absolutely horrible and torturous, and it's a modernization of that. And so she is an abuse survivor and a runaway, and just kind of like this punk rock, directionless girl in life, and she turns into this monster at night and kind of doles out justice in all the right way, all the right people, all the wrong ways.
And this is the one that you want to become a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Because it sounds very comic booky.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize how comic booky it was.
Yeah.
Until I was like, oh, it's kind of like Batman. It's kind of like the Crow. It's kind of
It's kind of like all these other comic books.
Yeah, it's kind of like comic books. But I really love this character.
So it's comic booky. You want to put out a graphic novel.
I do.
Hollywood loves graphic novels. If it became a movie, do you have someone like, so and so would be perfect as the Harpy?
God. You would never even believe who she would be, though. Taylor Momsen.
Why does that sound vaguely familiar?
Well, I'll tell you why it sounds vaguely familiar. She does have. She has a band. What is her band's name? I forget.
I don't know who she is, so I can't tell you her band
She
name.
was the little girl in the
Research?
Grinch.
Oh, yeah. I
She's
know
the
exactly
little-
who you're
she
talking
was
about.
Cindy
Yeah.
In the
yeah.
Grinch. She's not like that now.
No, she's got a punk rock band. I know exactly who you're
she's got a punk
talking
rock
about.
Band. She's kind of like a Debbie Harry,
Yeah,
like
very, yeah.
dirtier,
Yeah.
And that's my character,
Like-
Charity Blake.
Like
She's
blonde hair, lots of eyeliner.
lots of eyeliner and just
Yep.
does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that's why her name is Charity. Her name is changed. She
Yeah.
changed her name when she ran away, and because if she's dealing with you, it's pretty much Charity is why she picked the name that
Yeah.
she has. But she's an abuse survivor, and she's getting justice for a lot of people and not just herself. And I think it speaks to a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited for this book. It's been a long time coming. It was with a traditional publisher.
Yep.
It did have, and this is going to be, I will bring this to my grave. Andy Serkis's movie company asked for that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we never hear from him again because that's
I
what
was going to
happened.
say, how did you get
Yeah,
that?
yeah. We also I got turned down also, but they asked for it. The company that made the Paul Rudd and Jason Segel movie. I Love You, Man. And I was like, yeah, this is not up your alley.
All right, Jason Segel.
I Love You, Man. Remember that one?
No.
Come on. It's not in there.
Yeah.
This is not their wheelhouse.
It doesn't sound
Oh,
like
that's so funny, but thank you. But,
Yeah.
but no.
So how did you get on their radar? Like, did you submit it? Did they find you?
They
Like,
found it's a little publisher, Roots Publications, that
Mm-hmm.
picked me up after I dropped my agent, and they swooped right in, and they're like, I want that book. And right away, I got German requests, and I got Japanese requests, and we had like 5 different movie
I
companies.
feel like the Japanese market would love
Love it.
something like that.
Well, there already is like a character. There's a manga character or an
Yeah.
anime character that's a harpy. Yeah. And so I feel like they get it. They're like miles ahead of us anyway. She's probably in a vending machine
I
right
don't know.
now.
I don't know if they're miles ahead of us. They're just different.
They're different. Oh, they're different.
Because I've tried to read some manga, and I'm like, I just...
Why is it upside down? I'll never
It's
understand.
not even that. It's like, why do every 4 pages they still have to have something to eat? It's just...
Well, because there's that many vending
It's
machines.
just different.
Yeah.
You know?
It's different. Although, in all fairness, I stop every 4 pages to have something
I mean,
to
I
eat,
do too, but I don't want to read about it. Like,
No.
I'm not interesting enough to read about.
If that coffee shop's not haunted, I don't want to read about it.
The coffee shop.
Yeah, like every coffee shop and every book that you read. I can't stand that when they're always having coffee somewhere. That's the only thing that's good about it.
They
They're having
definitely don't
coffee
write books
somewhere.
because they would all be having beer.
Yeah, you know,
know.
but unless that bar is, housing 12 mass murderers, I don't want to hear about the bar all that much, That's me being a geek.
Oh, I
That's a
heard
geek.
I was listening to Lore.
Lore.
It's a podcast.
No, see,
Well, it's a podcast. It's books. It's a Amazon Prime. It's like a whole series of things. And I only brought this up because you said mass murder, and I was just listening to
And you're
it.
like, I'm a mass murderer.
No, I can't tell you that.
Well, not out loud.
Fish threatened you, not
He
me.
did. I heard it.
So it's about this woman who was a nurse, and unbeknownst to people, she was just killing the people she was supposed to be nursing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And like giving them cocktails of morphine and some other
I have seen
drug.
an
It was
ad
like
for
really
this.
interesting. It was really interesting. So
Kathy Batesy, but younger.
yeah, I
you
could see kind of Kathy Batesy. And it was just, it was just really,
trademarking
it
Kathy
was
Batesy.
so crazy to the point where like she was killing people. Like she would kill off like the husband of a couple, and the woman of the couple was like elderly, and the family would be like, "Oh, we love you so much. Will you take care of our mother?" And then the mother would die, and then the siblings would die, and just like all the way through the family, she was just like indiscriminately killing people.
Awesome.
And
No.
and I'm like, why isn't this a movie? I want to see this because it'd be creepy as shit.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need.
So check out Laura. I can't remember who the woman was, but it was really good.
Well, if you like creepy as shit, you'll like my stuff too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I do like creepy.
It's all connected. Yeah.
I do like creepy. So people can find you again on Amazon.
Amazon, Julie Hutchings.
Give us
JulieHutchings.net.
the name of the book one more time.
The Harpy is the new release. Super excited for it. I have an amazing cover artist, and it is just couldn't be more perfect. I'm
and
so
the graphic
happy
novel is
for
going
it.
to be out, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Oh, definitely, yeah, 2 weeks
I mean,
at least.
Dan
Yeah.
Kern's pretty
I mean, I'll probably do something in my sleep tonight.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure that gets out.
sleep.
Yeah.
Slacker. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Anything that Dan
Thank
Kern's
you.
attached to, like...
Yeah, or
I-
just because you
it's-
like me
yeah.
so much, probably, right? That's
Right. Julie Hutchings. Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming to talk to us.
No,
It's been a
thanks
lot of
for
fun.
having me. This
yeah.
is great. Yeah.
And we will see you at Spooks and Spirits that
Yes, you did.
just happened.
Yes, you did.
It's that little timey-wimey thing that's going on here. Yeah, so we'll see you in what, 2 weeks? Is it not this
It's
weekend, next
Saturday.
weekend. Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Also, our wedding anniversary, me and the husband. Not me and you.
Oh, nice.
Not me and Andy, not me
Not
and
me.
Fish, who's going to kill me this week.
No.
But
Yeah.
me and
Well,
my
you better
husband, yeah.
enjoy your wedding anniversary before Fish kills you.
Yeah.
He's very
just
he's
ignoring
very
it.
lazy, so like if you walked quickly away, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so.
this is awesome. Thank you so much for having
And
me. It was great.
thanks for everyone for listening.
Yes, bye. Thank you.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-Art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-Art or at Inebri-Art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-Art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-Art Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. So thanks again for listening.